What's up, softball players? I'm Coach Dan Blewett. In today's video, this is going to be for pitchers, but also for hitters to understand. Let's talk about the relative middle of the plate. So when we talk about where is the center of home plate, it's actually kind of irrelevant where the actual middle is. So in today's video, we'll talk about why the center of the plate effectively changes based on the hitter's stance. All right, so if you're new here, I'm Coach Dan Blewett. I'm a former pro baseball pitcher. I do tons of videos on softball mechanics, on mindset, on pitching strategy, strength training, arm care, all that stuff. So if you're new here, definitely subscribe to the channel. Check out my links in the description below. Okay, so let's talk about where is down the middle and why does it change based on the hitter. So number one, most hitters are going to have a stance. You can see the batter's box lines here are yellow. Most hitters are going to have a stance where their barrel is going to live pretty much in the center of the plate. That's like a standard, you know, whether it's 6 inches off the inside line or whatever, but it's going to be somewhere where as you eye it as a pitcher, you're going to say this hitter's not too close to the plate and they're not too far away from the plate, right? So everyone's going to be a little bit different, but in general, the standard stance is maybe 6 inches from the line, something like that. And so here, we've figured that out over time because we want, again, the barrel to be in the middle of the plate. Now, what's important to understand as a pitcher and as a coach is that as the hitter's stance changes, the middle of the plate effectively changes, and that has a lot of implications for where you're going to pitch. So say I'm a hitter who's crowding the plate and I'm standing here. So if this is the middle of the plate, this is the inside third, and this is the outside third or corner, whichever you want to call it. And so now you can see it's the same relative distance away, but the middle for me as a pitcher or as a hitter who crowds the plate is essentially the outer half or outer third. That's really critical to understand because now what has happened to the middle? The middle is now the inner half for me. So this has big implications because as a pitcher, if you're saying, okay, I don't want to throw this down the middle to this hitter, down the middle is not the middle anymore, and down the middle is inner half, which is still a dangerous location. But guess what? The true inner half, which is where this ball is, and the inner third are much more accessible to you now because the hitter has changed what that location means. That location is now a lot tougher for them to get to the barrel to. So in my other video, I've talked about, you know, that to hit an inside pitch hard on the barrel, you have to have the bat farther out in front. So if the middle is over here, great. Guess what? Now this inner half pitch, I've got to get my barrel pretty far out in front as a hitter, essentially as if it's an inner third fastball or pitch, whatever. And now I've got to be even faster on time with it. So this is critical. Now let's go the opposite way. So say I'll just reset this here. So again, here's my typical stance. Now say I'm a hitter who likes to be really far away from the plate. And this is probably only going to be 4 or 6 inches farther away. Now, the middle has changed again. And you can see that the inner part of the plate doesn't exist anymore, essentially. And there's a lot of the plate beyond this one. This represented the outer third. The outer third is almost inaccessible to me. So the inner part of the plate has become the middle for a hitter who's kind of a little bit farther away. So obviously as a coach, when you're coaching young hitters, this is important to explain because this is pretty easy to see that I really can't reach that pitch well without starting to stick my butt out or having to really step towards that spot. And as a pitcher, I know the same thing. If I saw a hitter who stands way far away, he has no chance of hitting the ball hard against me on the outside third. And it's the same thing with you pitchers. They have no chance of hitting that ball far away if they're off the plate. So in most cases, you're not going to see this stance that often. What you'll see a lot of times is an open stance, which I'm going to talk about that in a different video, how to approach those kinds of hitters. But the big takeaway here is more on hitters that crowd the plate. And a lot of pitchers get nervous when hitters crowd the plate because they feel like they don't have much plate to work with. But in reality, what happens is that these hitters are screwing themselves. When I'm this close to the plate, I cannot possibly keep this inner third pitch fair. To hit this ball hard, I've got to basically make contact all the way out here, and that ball's going to go foul if I hit it hard. Everything else, if I make contact with that inner third pitch, inner corner pitch here, I'm going to jam myself and I'm going to hit a little 3-hopper to my third baseman, or to your third baseman. So hitters that crowd the plate, because their effective middle shifts so much, they're not going to be able to access the inner third of the plate. They're just going to get eaten up by it. And even the inner half with hitters who have any sort of length, like they have a long swing, they're going to have just a terrible time trying to hit anything on the inner half of the plate. So unless they are really solid with their mechanics and they have a short, compact swing, you're going to own the inner half of the plate. So it's a death sentence to hitters when they crowd the plate too much in a lot of instances. What happens is, though, pitchers get afraid. They don't want to hit a girl. And so guess what? They don't even try to throw to the inner part of the plate, even though they have lots of room to work with. Throwing a pitch right here, you've got a lot of room for error, right? That's pretty much on the white of the plate. So what am I worried about? You've just got to be mentally tough when you see hitters that crowd the plate a lot, because again, they're screwed if you throw hard stuff in here, and they want you to throw away because your outer third pitch, that low and away pitch that used to be so effective, that's the middle of the plate for them pretty much. And so it doesn't become effective for you anymore, because again, I've moved, this is the new middle of the plate, boom, I can pull that ball into the gap, and that does not deter me. Whereas if I'm out here, that pitch is pretty difficult to drive, okay? So hopefully today's conversation about the relative middle of the plate is helpful to you, especially as a pitcher. You've got to understand, where is the middle of the plate to this hitter that I'm facing? If they're crowding the plate, the middle of the plate goes with it. If they're far away, the middle of the plate follows them. And then you're going to base where you're throwing to each location after that. Middle, halves, thirds, and corners. I have another video that goes into all of that. You're going to dictate where you throw laterally on the plate based on the count. So again, knowing where your starting point is, which is always spreads out from the middle, if you know that it's going to change based on their stance, then that's going to give you a much higher probability of having success and picking smart pitches to best get hitters out, okay? Thanks for watching. I'm Coach Dan Blewett, and I'll see you here in the next softball video.